In the heart of the Renaissance, a period marked by a fervent rebirth of arts, literature, and science, an Italian composer and organist was shaping the future of music. This was none other than Giovanni Gabrieli, born around 1554, a time when Venice, his birthplace, was a thriving hub of commerce and culture. The early life of Gabrieli was steeped in music. His uncle, Andrea Gabrieli, was a renowned composer himself, and it was under his tutelage that young Giovanni honed his skills. This familial bond of music would form the bedrock of Giovanni's illustrious career. As we delve deeper into Gabrieli's life, we see a young man with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and a passion for music. As one of 5 children, born to a father who had migrated from the region of Carnia to Venice, Giovanni was nurtured in a home where the rhythms of life harmonized with the melodies of new experiences. His early music education was profoundly influenced by his familial ties. His uncle, Andrea Gabrieli, was a prominent composer at St. Mark's Basilica from the 1560s until his death in 1585. Giovanni's relationship with his uncle was so close that he referred to himself as little less than a son in the dedication to his 1587 book of Concerti. It's believed that he was brought up by his uncle, whose influence would lay the foundation for his own musical journey. But Gabrieli's education extended beyond the familial sphere. In his quest for musical mastery, he moved to Munich to study under the eminent Orlando de Lassus at the court of Duke Albert Futh. This period, lasting until about 1579, was transformative. Lassus's influence played a significant role in shaping Gabrieli's musical style, setting the stage for the innovative genius he was to become. This blend of personal influence and professional mentorship would play a pivotal role in catapulting Gabrieli to the zenith of his career at St. Mark's Basilica. By the late 1570s, Gabrieli had become the principal organist at the prestigious St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. This was a pivotal point in his career, and it was here, under the grand arches and gilded mosaics of the basilica, that Gabrieli began to experiment with spatial effects in his compositions. He innovatively used multiple choirs, placed in different parts of the building, creating a dynamic, immersive sound experience that was nothing short of revolutionary. In 1587, Gabrieli's work took a leap forward with the publication of his uncle's music, including some of his own compositions. This collection, titled Concerti di Andrea e di Giovanni Gabrieli, showcased the young composer's knack for polyphonic complexity and his innovative use of the cori spezzati technique, literally meaning broken choir. The turn of the 17th century marked Gabrieli's most prolific period. His compositions reflected a shift from the Renaissance polyphony to the early Baroque concertato style. His works, such as Sacrae Symphoniae and Symphoniae Sacrae Siccive, were marked by grandeur and complexity, weaving together voices and instruments in a rich tapestry of sound. Sadly, in 1612, the world lost this musical maestro. Giovanni Gabrieli passed away, leaving behind a legacy of innovation and brilliance. His compositions continued to resonate in the halls of St. Mark's Basilica, and his influence echoed through the works of future composers. Giovanni Gabrieli was more than just a composer and organist. He was a visionary, a musical architect who built sonic landscapes that transcended the limitations of his time. His innovative use of multiple choirs and spatial effects revolutionized sacred music. His shift from Renaissance polyphony to early Baroque concertato style marked a significant evolution in music history. His life and works remain an inspiration, not just to musicians, but to anyone who appreciates the transformative power of music. This was Giovanni Gabrieli, a beacon of innovation in a time of rebirth, forever immortalized in the annals of music history. In this scene, we delve deep into the musical style and techniques that made Gabrieli a pioneer of his time. Although he was well-versed in many musical forms, he had a special inclination towards sacred vocal and instrumental music. His secular vocal compositions mainly marked his early career, and he never ventured into lighter forms like dances. His focus was on creating sacred music that could exploit sonority for maximum effect. Gabrieli's genius lay in his many innovations. He was credited with introducing dynamics, notated instrumentation, and the use of massive forces arranged in multiple, spatially separated groups. This idea was the genesis of the Baroque concertato style, which quickly spread to Northern Europe. He crafted pieces where a choir or an instrumental group was heard on one side, followed by a response from the musicians on the other side. Gabrieli's early motets were published alongside his uncle Andrea's compositions in his 1587 volume of concerti. These pieces echoed his uncle's style, employing dialogue and echo effects. The low and high choir's pitch difference was marked by instrumental accompaniment. But in his 1597 Sacré Symphoniae, Gabrieli moved away from close antiphony towards a model where musical material wasn't simply echoed but developed by successive choral entries. After 1605, Gabrieli's style saw a distinct change, moving towards a more homophonic style. His compositions included sections purely for instruments, called sinfonia, and small sections for soloists singing florid lines, accompanied by a basso continuo. Alleluia refrains were used to create rondo patterns in the motets, with close dialogue between choirs and soloists. His well-known piece, In Ecclesias, is a perfect showcase of such polychoral techniques, making use of 4 separate groups of instrumental and singing performers, underpinned by the omnipresent organ and continuo. This was Giovanni Gabrieli, an innovator whose techniques revolutionized the world of music. Giovanni Gabrieli's most influential work exemplify his innovative approach to music composition. Gabrieli's use of polychoral techniques is most evident in his motet In Ecclesias, scored for 4 vocal soloists, choir, and instrumental ensemble. This piece beautifully showcases his use of dynamic contrasts and echo effects. The alternating solo and choral sections create a rich, immersive soundscape that was truly groundbreaking for the time. Another key example of Gabrieli's polychoral writing is Omnes Gentes Plaudit Manibus. Composed for 8 voices divided into 2 choirs, this motet utilizes call and response techniques between the choirs, enhancing the spatial effect and creating an almost stereophonic experience for the listener. Gabrieli's instrumental music was also revolutionary. His Sonata Pian A Forte from the 1597 collection Sacré Symphoniae is one of the earliest pieces to specify dynamics and particular instruments. This sonata, scored for cornets and sackbuts, demonstrates Gabrieli's forward-thinking approach and is a landmark in the development of instrumental music. His collection of instrumental canzonas, Canzoni per Sonar, showcases Gabrieli's ability to write for various ensembles. The canzonas are characterized by their rhythmic vitality and contrapuntal intricacy, reflecting the influence of vocal polyphony on instrumental music. Gabrieli's major collections of sacred music, Sacré Symphoniae and Symphonie Sacrae, are seminal in the development of sacred and instrumental music. Sacré Symphoniae includes motets and instrumental canzonas that illustrate Gabrieli's mastery of polychoral writing and his innovative use of instrumental forces. Noteworthy pieces such as Jubilat Deo and Plaudit Salite create a rich, sonorous texture that was ideal for the acoustics of St. Mark's Basilica. The posthumously published Symphonie Sacrae further explores the interplay between choirs and instruments. The double choir motets and large-scale instrumental pieces in this collection, such as Hodie Christus Natus Est and Magnificat, highlight Gabrieli's evolving style and his experimentation with orchestration. These works continue to build on his use of spatial effects and dynamic contrasts, further cementing his legacy as a pioneer in music. Gabrieli's music has had a profound influence on the subsequent generations of composers and the evolution of Western music. Gabrieli's pioneering use of specific instrumentation, dynamics, and spatial effects had a far-reaching impact, notably on the development of the Baroque concerto and orchestral music. His techniques were so influential that they were adopted and integrated by prominent composers like Heinrich Schütz and Claudio Monteverdi in their own compositions, thus perpetuating Gabrieli's innovative legacy. The influence of Gabrieli's music did not stop at Venice's borders. It spread across Europe, shaping the course of music history. His polychoral compositions and instrumental music, particularly those in Sacré Symphoniae and Symphonie Sacrae, were seminal in bridging the gap between the Renaissance and Baroque periods. They showcased his mastery of spatial effects, dynamic contrasts, and orchestration, enriching the musical repertoire of his time and paving the way for future developments in Baroque music. Giovanni Gabrieli's works are a testament to his innovative spirit and his ability to bridge musical eras. His contributions continue to be celebrated for their grandeur, complexity, and profound influence on the evolution of Western music. So while we remember Gabrieli as a master composer of his time, we must also recognize his role as a catalyst for musical innovation, whose influence reverberates through the centuries.